Hey, this is MassX with a new Bleach Immortal Souls video. This is going to be part one of either 2 or 3 parts dealing with awakened weapons. So this first part, I'm going to start with the URs. And before we begin, let's go ahead and just put this out there so it is clear. At least in my opinion, there is no shitty awakened weapons. There are definitely some that are much better, and there are definitely some that are necessary with some characters. But if it's a character you're using, he's a staple for your team, then you should be having that weapon awakened. That's at least my opinion. So, as we all know, to see the awakened weapons, you just go into your character's awakened setting, and you just gotta click on there, and oops, wrong one. And you can see the differences. For instance, this is Grimmjaw V2, and as it states at the bottom, after the weapon awakens, the damage and rage reduction effect are greatly increased, and using this skill guarantees a mastery skill in the next round. Those are the types of weapons that I put a notch above the rest when they have guaranteed abilities, such as mastery skill, such as this one. And I use Grimmjaw 2 a lot, so needless to say, I use this awakened weapon on him. Nell, without saying, is a must. If you're using her, the damage goes up, the chance of stun goes up, and the number of bleed stacks are all increased, which with her makes her much more beneficial for you. Tensa is also another good one. His damage is greatly increased, and the attack means duel. Gaining the duel is what makes it so good. They all generally have damage increases or some other increase. The key is if they add something to it, in my opinion. Yoruichi, for instance, after the weapon awakens, damage is greatly increased, yada, yada, yada. We don't care about that so much because everybody's is. The rate of triggering Shunko attacks is increased, and the number of Shunko attacks that can be activated is increased. And that's where the important part is. So your chances of being able to stack more of those Shunkos goes up with the awakened weapon. That's what makes that one good for her. I keep hitting the wrong one. One of those days, I guess. Let's take a look here, because I don't have any of these memorized, needless to say. After weapon awakens, we don't care about that. Health is above 50%. This skill deals additional damage equal to a percentage of his defense. If his health is under 50%, he gains a shield equal to a percentage of the damage dealt by the attack. Needless to say, those are good because it's a win-win for you based on where you're at. You're either doing more damage or getting a shield. It's definitely a good one, but that one's probably not as necessary as others. Let me just put that out there. Let's take this one. Gain Smash when Vestalorde gets his awakened. Another one that's worth getting if you're using him a lot. You are Toshiro. Freeze chance increases greatly, reduces greatly the target's critical hit damage. Yeah, that one's more average in my opinion. Not necessary unless you're using them like all the time. Grimmjaw 1. Damage, HP recovery, and critical hit damage are all increased, and also increases the back row allies' critical hit damage. Definitely good. Not definitely like wow, but it's definitely a worthwhile one. White is one of those ones that's necessary if you use him because it gives you the 100% launching the mastery skill in the next round. So that one is above average to say the least. Let's take a look at version 1. Damage, HP recovery, and front row allies damage reduction rate are increased greatly. Okay. You know, that one isn't a necessity. You know, if you have to pick and choose, again, if it's not somebody that you use all the time and it's not giving you something wow, like a smash or a guaranteed mastery skill, etc., then you sometimes can skip over it, in my opinion at least, for what it's worth, which isn't a whole lot. Shinji, after weapon awakens, the reduced rage will be distributed equally among ally characters. One of my one of the better ones. I use Shinji all the time, probably in 70 to 80% of my setups. So of course this one's awakened on mine because I want, the whole point of it is I want that rage redistribution for my characters. Yama, let's take a look. After weapon increases the chance of reducing rage and stunning. Definitely, it's turned out to be a good awakened weapon. It does increase his odds quite a bit. But again, if you're not using them, don't waste the time and the money. Getting his awakened weapon is not going to make a difference to want you to put him on your team. That's how I look at it. When I create teams, I first go by their builds and what has synergy together. And then, based on that, once I get the team together and start testing them, then I look at other things that might be necessary to accentuate that. And sometimes it has to do with what's available when their Sarah goes off, or what the awakened weapon does, etc., etc. So I digress. Let's move on. Let's make this quick and thorough. Kenpachi, one of the harder ones to get for a while. The damage and crit chance increased, and for one round it increases the crit chance for the back row. That's what made that one good, because you could really bump up your back row, putting Kenny front line, having his Sarah go off, awakened weapon, and you get the crit chance for the back row to go up, and then they go off, and with higher crit chance, you're wanting them to crit. So his was always a good one. This one's a great one now. After the weapon awakens, damage is greatly increased, and he gains 2 stacks of game entrapment. And as we all know, game entrapment is the wonderful thing they added when he basically is doing a counterattack somewhat. When he is attacked by an enemy rage skill, he causes the attacker to take an equal amount of damage. You've got to love that. I love that. It's a must on him, an awakened weapon, if you're using him. I used him since he came out, and I still use him today. I absolutely love that character. Zangetsu. The decreased rage points are transferred to self. That's a good one. You know, not as good as Shinji, where it redistributes to everybody, but when he is able to decrease rage, he gets that back to himself, so at least it's going somewhere and benefiting something. Let's take a look here. After weapon awakens, damage is greatly increased and the crit chance of all enemies is decreased as all, well, it's good, but it's not phenomenal. Not a necessity by no means. Aizen, let's take a look here. Damage is increased greatly and has a chance to steal buffs from the target. Good. And it's always nice, you know, it has a 50% chance to steal 2 buffs from the target. So it's actually really cool. But is it a be-all, end-all? By no means. Biak, what we got going on with his one? Weapon awakens, you know, the increase, blah, blah, blah. If there's targets killed by this skill, a certain amount of self HP will be recovered based on the number of killed targets. Nice, definitely. Necessity, no, compared to other ones. Ichigo. Let's take a look. Weapon awakens. SR unlocks. Deals bleed damage to target. Last 2 rounds. SSR unlocks 50% chance to deal 15% more damage to the target. Good. You know. Be all end all? No. And again, a lot of people don't use him as much as you get farther in the game. So that's the other thing to look at. If you're on a newer server, look at see what the people are using on the servers that have been around longer, so you get an idea who's good and not to invest in. I'll never say Ichigo's not good to invest in because he's a cheap build. So him and Biak are definitely worth it. Awakened weapon, if you get it, you know, for the daily free stuff, or you know, where you have to buy a certain amount and it pops at the end, nice. But a UR box, hell no. Well, I guess it'd be an SSR box for him, possibly. It's been so long since I've built him up, I couldn't tell you. Halibel, let's take a look. After weapon awakens, greatly increased. If target of attack is a single enemy, this skill does 100% additional damage, and there's a 30% chance to stun. Now, this is a great awakened weapon. Problem is, you know, the execution of it with a single enemy is, you know, when you're on a team-based, you know, that's going to take a while. On Kenpachi or on one-on-one, player versus player stuff, it's amazing out of the gate for you because it's one-on-one. But that being said, you know, it's a great boost, but in reality, how often are you going to get to execute on it unless you're using her all the time, especially on one-on-ones? Let's take a look at Baragon. If I'm not mistaken, his is very good. Greatly increasing when Baragon has the Respira effect. He gains a temporary shield equal to 6% of his current HP for 1 round whenever he is attacked, which is nice. Getting those extra shields. He is nothing more than a tank, okay? He definitely is not an offensive juggernaut. He clocks in with great stats, but he's definitely not going to be doing a lot of killing for you, by no means. Let's take a look at Zaz here. Zaz is, after the weapon awakens, damage is greatly increased. Zaz regenerates 35% of his missing HP, and up to 4 buff effects are dispelled from each enemy. I like that one. Always have liked that one. I like Zaz. And that's definitely a respectable, good one to do. You know, Rukia's Cane wasn't an absolute necessity, nor was Orihime's gloves. Since they're currently unavailable right now, I'm not going to discuss those. They weren't something that was an absolute must at the time. It was more important to get the character. Aizen, this one is a must if you're using him. After weapon awakens, damage is greatly increased, yada, yada, yada. And when Aizen's shield disappears, there's an 80% chance to reduce the rage of enemy targets by 250. I love that one. I love that one. His shield goes and then just, boop, we're going to take a bunch of your rage in the process. I like that one a lot. And we've got, oops. I hit the wrong one. I'm having a good day. Stark. Let's get back into this. All right. Weapon awakens. Damage is greatly increased and the number of Sero fired is increased. Okay. Great. But again, if you're using them all the time, do it. Definitely not in the top of the list. You know, when I go back through here, because I can pretty much... I'm pretty sure this one isn't, yeah, there's a chance to paralyze, yeah. I think that's going to be about it. Let me just double check. Yeah, so Natora, yeah, that one's not a big deal. Won't waste your time. So that should be all the URs. So let's just recap this real quickly here, and then we can drop it down. Definitely I'm having a rough day today, guys. I'm sorry. It's Sunday. I'm tired. Ugh. Grimjaw, definitely. Tensa, definitely. Yoriichi, definitely. Nell, definitely. Not so much. Bassalordi, definitely. Shinji, without a doubt. Aizen version 2, without a doubt. Stark, eh. Aizen, good. 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 Definitely. Don't worry about not available if you don't have it. Kenpachi, definitely good with that crit. Toshiro, give or take, probably give it average. Yama, good. White Ichiko, above average, top of the line. Yorihara, not necessary. Ichigo, you know, it's cheaper, so do it. Why not if you're using them? Zangetsu, good. Zaz, above average, really good. If you use them, get it if you can. I think that's about it. Oh, Holybell, definitely good, but remember, again, single target change, so if she's more team-based for you, not necessarily something I'd worry about. Baragon, again, good, but not necessarily something I would worry about, especially if you're using them as a front-line tank only. Biak, definitely. Rukia Christmas, not available, so don't even worry about it if you don't have it. And Natora, nah, not necessary unless you're using them all the time. So that's it for my quick Awakened Weapon discussion on UR characters. Next up will be the SSRs. Like, subscribe, whatever the heck, just do it. Let's keep this channel alive, and let's pray this anniversary coming is going to be well worth it, because quite honestly, this player base deserves some serious payback from Oasis for all the stuff that's happened this past year. With that being said, have a great week, and talk to you soon.